Let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus in 2025. Excuse me. Now, this device was released in 2019. So, this is a very, very old device. Okay. It's been a while, but it is a top tier flagship device by Samsung. Now, the thing about it, this is when Samsung started removing things from their devices. And it was just like the beginning of the end for a lot of Samsung users, honestly, because it just wasn't necessary for them to start removing a bunch of things. First thing they removed was the iris sensor, the LED notification sensor, and the heart rate monitor. Now, for most of you out there, you may think, oh, no big deal, no big deal. Of course, they had to remove the iris sensor because, they went with let me show you real quick. They went with this pill design, which I think is pretty ugly, honestly. I mean, to go to remove the LED and iris sensor for that didn't make any sense because that looks like an eyesore, honestly. They could have just kept a thin bezel and still put the camera up there as well as the iris sensor and the LED notification sensor. This was not a good, design choice in my opinion. Heart rate monitor still could have been back here where it used to be. Used to be right there on the side of the camera. That still could have remained. I don't know why they removed that unless they were just trying to save money. But I will say this, the things they added two selfie cameras, which you really don't need, honestly, because one is a little wider than the other, basically. But that's about it. That wasn't necessary. The one thing initially people didn't like was the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. Now it's a little low on here, but I mean, you get used to it. And initially it didn't work well at all, but it does work pretty well, honestly. So the software updates must have fixed it because in the beginning, it just wasn't this good. Now it's literally just a tap. So you see, I'm not having any issues at all. It works as good as the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor on my S23 Ultra, and that's saying something. So I don't mind that because the fingerprint sensor on the back of the S9 was cool, but I'd rather always have my fingerprint sensor on the front. That's just what I prefer. Because remember when Samsung used to have the fingerprint sensor all the way at the bottom and you used to have to slide your finger for the to activate the fingerprint sensor. I believe, yeah, it was on the Note 4 where they had the button and you had to slide your finger to open up the phone. But then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Note 5, you just had to tap it and it would open. So I've always really been a big fan of having the fingerprint sensor on the front, but that's just me though. I'm just speaking for myself. Also, with this device, you got reverse wireless charging, which is something Samsung introduced to their flagship device, which I like, is cool. And you got the wide angle lens camera on the back. And on this device, you got 3 cameras. Okay. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Keep in mind also, I got this device for under $200. Now, for those of you that prefer older flagship devices, you're not going to pay a lot for this device, honestly. You can get it for anywhere between 100 and I think 75 to 190 something dollars off of Amazon. So it's dirt cheap. And on top of that, this is a 512 gig variant that I got for under $200. So you got the 512 gig variant and you can get it for under $200. And keep in mind, you got this 6.4 inch QHD display. So if you're somebody that don't really like the size of these larger phones and you want something smaller, like maybe the 6.8 inch display of the S23 Ultra is just too big. Like this is just too big and too heavy, too thick. Then this will be perfect for you. And this is definitely more so a one-handed device than this, for sure. Okay, for sure. So, first things you got going for you is the price. The price on this is really good. Like I said, if you're somebody that you're not one of those latest and the greatest and all that, you want a top tier flagship device, but you're not paying no $1,000, no $1,200, $1,300, $2,000, but you want a top tier flagship device, then this is the time to get on Amazon and get what you want, and get it for the price you want, but get it with all the things that are important to you. And I'm going to be naming quite a few of those in this video. Let's start out first with the build quality. Build quality, Gorilla Glass 6 on the front, Gorilla Glass 5 on the back. Okay. Now check out this design. Y'all remember this design? Now, when you look at the LG V60, very similar, except the LG V60 is a little more rounded in the corners, and the camera bar is a little bit bigger. But every time I looked at the LG V60, I often thought of this device because the LG V60 came out probably a year or two after this device, if I'm not mistaken. But the design is cool. And this is the first time Samsung incorporated 3 cameras on the back of their devices. Now, this phone has 5 cameras because you got the 3 on the back and you got the 2 in the front. So 5 cameras on a Samsung device. This was the first time they did that. And, you know, like I said, for me, this is an eyesore because if anything, they should have put it right in the middle as opposed to in the left of the corner. Now, they do have certain wallpapers that you could use to kind of cover that if you don't like the look of it. But when you go into other apps, you're still going to see it. So I don't really think it matters all that much. And you'll eventually get used to it. All right. Now, of course, you have your typical always on display. But the only thing that's different about this, you're going to get bigger notifications and they're going to be in their own color. Now, I don't have a bunch of them right now, but you can see that's my email. You see it's purple. So this is the old school always on display, which you're going to get on this device, because you know with the newer ones, and I'll show you real quick for those of you that may not be familiar with the S23 Ultra, this is the way it's going to look. See that? How small those notifications are, and they're all white. And I don't like that. I do like the widgets, but I mean, I don't have to have the widgets. Honestly, they're cool, but I don't have to have them. Now, the fingerprint sensor is up a little higher where, you know, it should be, but like I said, you get used to it, especially with this phone being so small. But the always on display on the S10 Plus is going to be better than that of the S20 Ultra, in my opinion, because the notifications are going to be bigger and they're going to be in their own color. All right. Also, face unlock. Now, face unlock is pretty much the same. I mean, it's okay. But see, it's not all that great. You see, it won't even open. You know, I'm behind the camera. I have so many phones that are open. So typical Samsung face unlock, which is not all that accurate. You know, good lighting, it'll work, but it's inconsistent. Sorry to say that, but I mean, it's just the truth. That's just the way Samsung devices are with the face unlock. Maybe with the S25 Ultra, maybe the face unlock is a lot better. It works. Don't get me wrong, but it's just nowhere near as good as Xiaomi, Oppo, let me see, OnePlus, Vivo. It ain't in the ballpark of those devices, not even close. But it's fine. But you do get face unlock and it does work. And as you can see, those rings, you know, light up around the camera, but the accuracy is just not good. It's just not good. All right, so you got your ultrasonic fingerprint sensor down here. Well, like I said, it works very well. No issues with that. Now, this power button is ridiculous. You see how high that thing is? The power button is up here. Look with my finger. Look where my thumb is at. And that power button is way up here. Now, I don't know what Samsung was doing when they decided to put the power button all the way up there. That button placement is idiotic and stupid. Even the volume rockers are way up here on the other side. They're high because they're on the left. This is, you know, before Samsung decided to put all the buttons on the right. But that power button way up there is just stupid. I mean, you have to have some really long fingers to reach that comfortably. But I can say this, all you got to do is double tap the screen and it'll go out. So you don't have to worry about hitting the power button. Just double tap the screen twice and the screen will go out. Double tap, screen go out. So not the biggest deal in the world, but that's stupid button placement by Samsung. Good news, y'all. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Now with the S20 Ultra, they still kept the headphone jack, but with the S21 Ultra, they removed it. But this one, if you want a headphone jack, you want that wired connection, you're going to get it on this device. Also, it's accompanied by a 32-bit DAC tuned by AKG. And Samsung's, DACs, they're not nowhere near as good as LG and some other ones, but they're decent. They sound pretty good. Dual stereo speakers on this device, and I gotta say, I was shocked of how good the speakers sound on this device. Seriously. I mean, they get really loud. They just lack a little fullness and a little bass, but they get really, really loud. Let me let y'all listen to it. I hope this, the speaker on my phone does it some justice. Now check this out. Play a little bit of this movie. And check out the display while you're at it. And you got your cameras up there to the side. You can get used to that. It wouldn't bother you that much. As you heard, the speakers get really loud, honestly, especially for a device in 2019. I'm definitely impressed with the speakers on this device because they get really loud, and I love loud speakers. Now, everybody don't use their phone, watch content, with this, without headphones, but I often like listening to my content without headphones because I don't know, with headphones, sometimes for me, they always irritate the inside of my ear, have my ears itching. Sometimes I like it because you're definitely going to get better sound with headphones. But I like it when I could just play my speakers without headphones and they're really, really loud. And these are really loud, like I said, especially for the time when these were released. They just lack a little fullness and a little bass. Other than that, they sound excellent. I love the speakers. IP68 water and dust resistance. You're getting NFC, FM radio, USB Type-C, Bluetooth 5.0. And of course, with this display, you're getting a 6.4-inch Quad HD dynamic AMOLED display, HDR10 plus 522 pixel density. Now, no high refresh rate. This was a year before Samsung started putting high refresh rates on their devices. They didn't start doing that until the S20. So just a 60 hertz display, which is fine. That's not going to be a big deal for most people. And also with it just having a 60 hertz refresh rate, it'll save you on battery. Okay. Now, the last Android iteration for this device is Android 12. No more software updates, no security patches, but there's still security on this phone with Knox. And let me just show you real quick. Let me see. Go to it really quick. Let me see where's security. Is it here? Okay, device protection. Okay, so if you scroll up, you'll see here apps protection. So all you do is scan the phone. Now, no threats found. It's fine. It's being protected by Samsung. Now you could put other stuff on here, but McAfee and Samsung says keep your phone safe by searching for malware and suspicious activity. So you're going to have protection on here. Now, if you want to add a protection, of course, you could always get a what you call them? I forgot those things. It just VPNs. You can get a VPN, for your internet, and then you ain't got to worry. It's going to encrypt everything. So if what Samsung already offers is not good enough, then you could always put additional software security on here. But for the most part, you should be fine unless you just get on all different kind of weird sites, no matter what they are, and you're not making sure that they're secure. Then that would be on you. I've never ever had got a virus on any of my older devices ever. Never had any issues. All right. And the last version of Samsung One UI on here is One UI 4.1. And I will say, far as performance is concerned, no performance issues whatsoever. This phone is still nice and snappy. No issues at all when it comes to performance. Everything is pretty smooth. Like I said, no problems. Everything, it's not going to scroll as fast as something with a high refresh rate, but that's not all that slow. I mean, when you scroll like that, for some reason, everything always scrolls faster with my index finger, but when I'm doing it with my thumb, it don't want to go as fast, which is a little weird to me. But performance on this device is still good. No issues, in my opinion, when it comes to performance. None. It's still fast and it's still fluid. So no performance issues. Now, keep in mind, expandable storage up to 1 terabyte. So you already got the headphone jack, and now you got expandable storage, which to a lot of people is important. Now, I know some people are going to say, 256 gigs should be enough. Yeah, enough for you. Okay, you can't speak for everybody else. Me, I need 512 to 1 terabyte because I store a ton of movies and pictures and all kind of things on my devices. So I need 512 and above, but I prefer external expandable storage. That way, when I want to even go crazy, if I want to shoot a lot of video, I can have it go straight to the SD card. I don't have to worry about maxing out my internal storage. And I like having that option. A lot of people like having that option. That's something Samsung did not have to remove from their devices, and I absolutely hate it. With the battery, you are getting a 4,100 milliamp hour battery. Still good for a day, depending on your usage. For me, it's good for a day. Now, I can get into the next day, but for the most part, it's good for a day. And the battery life, I don't have any issues with the battery life at all. With the battery charging speeds, they're going to be slow. I'm just telling you now. 15 watt wired charging, 15 watt wireless charging, 4.5 watt reverse wireless charging. So when it comes to charging speeds, they're going to be super slow. Cameras. Now, like I said earlier, this is the first time Samsung decided to put 3 cameras on the rear and they put 2 on the front. So with the rear cameras, we'll talk about them first. 12 megapixel wide dual pixel with optical image stabilization, 12 megapixel telephoto 2x optical zoom, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide with super steady video. Also with the rear cameras, they shoot video 4K at 60, 1080p at 60. They have HDR 10 plus and stereo sound. With the 2 cameras up front, you got a 10 megapixel wide dual pixel and an 8 megapixel wide depth sensor. So basically just one camera gets a little bit wider than the other, and it shoots video at 4K at 60, 1080p at 60 frames per second. All right. Now, like I said, overall, this is a great device, honestly, because the display is beautiful. You're getting great build quality. You're getting a really nice design. You're getting a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. You're getting the typical back in the day, always on display, the way we used to like it. You're getting an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. You're getting expandable storage. You're getting 5 cameras. You're getting great performance, great battery life, great speakers, great display. You're getting the whole full complete package with the S10 Plus. Now, what I'm going to do, I haven't had a chance to take any photos with this device yet because I've only had it for a little bit. And the weather today is going to be raining outside, so I have to wait till there's a good sunny day. Go out, take some photos, and I'll do a separate video with, of the photos and the video capabilities of this phone compared to the phones of today. But when it comes down to it, like I said, this has 512 gigs and expandable storage for under $200. And this is a bona fide flagship device. Don't forget about the IP68 water and dust resistance. This has everything. Everything that you want or looking for in a flagship device, and you're a Samsung Knight, this has it. Plus, it's a one-handed device. It's not too big. It's not super thick. It's not heavy. It may be the perfect device for you. So thank you all for taking the time to view this content. I do appreciate it. I hope everybody out there staying safe and staying well, and I'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace.